How's it going, everybody? I am Money, and we're back with episode 2 or part 2 of how to grow on YouTube. And today we're actually going to be covering commentaries, and that is the second biggest question in terms of people needing help and wanting advice on how do you get your commentary ideas. How did you end up getting so good and comfortable at doing commentaries? And I happen to think I'm pretty good, and a lot of people feel that I'm pretty good, so I should be able to give you guys some very solid advice, and I'll give you guys some of my own personal tips and tricks on how I got good at commentaries and how I go about doing commentaries. So first things first, you want to remember, no matter what kind of commentaries you're doing, they all seem to have the basic skeleton. And that doesn't matter if you're going to do live commentaries, you're going to do topic-based commentaries, you're going to do funny-based commentaries. I want you to always look at a commentary as a short essay. Every short essay is going to have the same thing: an introduction, a body, and an end conclusion. Now, in terms of YouTube, all three of those things are pretty easy to go about doing. So your introduction is always going to be, hey, this is what my video is about, this is my name. So commentaries is this video. So but the introduction was commentaries, and I basically briefed you guys on what we're going to be talking about. There's your intro. Next, you're going to cover the body. Now, the body is actually what I'm doing right now. I'm giving you everything in between the introduction and the end conclusion, which is going to be about the commentaries. So the end conclusion would be basically wrapping up, and in a YouTube style, hey, this video was about commentaries, da 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 da. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to leave anything in the comment section, leave that down in the comment section. Pretty easy peasy. Now, it doesn't matter how you go about doing it, and that's topic style based upon how I do my commentaries, but it doesn't matter how you do your commentaries. You have to remember and recall that if you talk about something in the intro, you go leading to the body, you don't want to go from talking about Space Jam to Westerns. And in my last video, it was a pretty good example of me thinking of something and then wandering off into other different realms. And even though they were similarly related topics, they didn't exactly go in hand with what I intended the commentary to be about. So that's a pretty good example. You go back and watch that video and kind of notice how I kind of branched off into other kind of stuff. Now, sometimes you can work it and sometimes you can't. You just have to be able to figure out when you can and when you can't. And it kind of goes the same thing with live commentaries. If you start with live commentary and you say, hey, today we're going to talk about, I don't know, Space Jam. I like Space Jam right now. We're going to talk about Space Jam, and then you start playing and you never even mention Space Jam, then yeah, you can't say you're going to do something and not do it. So remember that you got to have your intro, your body, and your end conclusion. Now, a few tips on what I do in terms of coming up with commentaries. I literally just think of things and come across things in life, and they pop up in my mind, and I literally just talk about them, or I write them down. But more or less, my better commentaries have all been kind of spontaneous moments or things that have happened or occurred, and I kind of let it out in my feelings through a commentary. Now, in terms of the easiness of doing a commentary, it is very hard to do commentaries. I am a people person. I am very comfortable with speaking in large crowds. In my prior job, I was a supervisor. I had over 100 employees, and I would do safety briefings and give instructions and do all that kind of stuff. But the first time I picked up the mic and started talking to do a commentary, it was so hard. It is literally so hard. It's not like just talking in front of a forum or an audience and just having so much to say. It's literally you're talking to yourself, and it's very different, and it's not easy. Just trying to talk for a minute and a half on my first video, it was stressful because there was no way I'd be able to fill out, 5 minutes worth of stuff to talk about, and it takes lots and lots of time. The one thing I would say in terms of practicing and getting everything all together is, one, keep a notebook with you and constantly write down topics. Constantly, just it doesn't matter how minor, how stupid, how small it is, constantly write down topics. And even if you're going to utilize those topics, talk about them. But I'd honestly advise you sitting down in a little corner or sitting down somewhere all by yourself and talking to yourself inside your head and mapping out that entire commentary and just thinking about what it's going to be. And that's going to be phase one, because once you get in front of that mic, you have to be able to process those words inside of your brain and speak them out to the world. And that's phase 2. Phase 3 is actually sounding convincing and comfortable, and that's going to be the hardest thing, and it comes at the most random moments. I remember the first time that I saw the change in Diana in terms of commentaries was her first rant on this freaking map on Black Ops 2, some snow map, and she just went the fuck off. And ever since then, like every so often with every rant, she gets more and more comfortable. The same with Dr. Evil Genius. He'll talk about something, and first it was very monotone, and then he got pissed about something, and then next thing you know, he's just a completely different character. Something inside you will spark something, And next thing you know, your voice will be different, your tone will be different, your aneurysms around the mic that no one can see, the way you move your hands while you talk, even though no one can see it but yourself, everything will just change. And that's how you know you're making progress in your commentary. So remember, phase 1, you got to come up with your topics. Phase 2, you got to be able to speak to the freaking mic. And then phase 3, you got to be able to find your personality. Now, some tips and tricks of what I use personally before I do my commentaries, or while I do my commentaries. First things first, before I get into my whole commentary mode, and the first thing I do is on my ride home from work, I listen to loud music and I sing it, usually at the very top of my lungs. Now, what that does for me is it works out my voice. It'd be the same thing as someone who's going to step up in front of a podium, and before they get ready to talk, they do the whole Peter Piper picked a bunch of pepper thing, and they just say a whole bunch of tongue twisters. Well, that's basically what it does for me. It warms up my voice. It gets me in sync. Next thing, en route to home, all that singing makes me very, very thirsty, but I don't drink anything. I do all of my commentaries with a dry mouth. Hence, when I speak, you can't hear my lips moving, or you can't hear none of that kind of stuff because my mouth is dry. And it helps with my tongue because it helps me better pronounce all of my words and makes me sound Caucasian. And that's going to help you in the long run too. Sound Caucasian. There you go. That's a bonus tip. And then in terms of my commentaries and how I actually do my commentaries, there's going to be 2 methods that I'm aware of doing commentaries. Now, one is going to be the live version where you're talking while the game is playing, and that's not necessarily saying you're going to record it live, but you already have your gameplay. While you're playing it, you record your voice. That's one route. Then the second route is going to be to record your voice separate from the gameplay entirely. For example, since I do topic commentaries, I don't watch the gameplay half the time. I might not even know what commentary the gameplay is going to sync up to. So what I do is I go to Audio City, and like my last commentary was 13 minutes. I trimmed it down to 9 minutes because there's things in the commentary that you might not need to know that weren't relevant to the commentary. It also allows me to go back through the commentary and delete any uhs, any long pauses, shorten down any phrases that I feel can be shortened down, that are irrelevant, that are elongated, that don't make very much sense. It gives you a lot more opportunities to actually go through and edit your commentaries. So my advice is, when you first start off, don't do live commentaries. So what you got to do is go download Audio City. It's very free. Very free. What the fuck is very free? It's free, and you can go through, say all the things you want, and you can go through and delete some of your uhs, you know, shorten some of your pauses, and your commentary will come out sounding completely different, and it'll be perfect. And people will think, well, he did that on the first try. No, I had 17 minutes worth of commentary. I shorted the bitch down to 7 minutes, and this is the final cut. So those are my tips and tricks for you guys. Just remember, whatever you do, put your heart into it, and that's literally what helps me out. Like I said before, I wanted to be a commentator versus a gameplay person, so I put all my time and energy into becoming a better commentator, and step by step in every commentary that I do, I believe gets a little better, and people seem to enjoy it a little bit more. So do the same thing with your commentaries. When you first start off, it's gonna suck. That's the entire point of first starting off in anything. When you ride your bike for the first couple of times, you fall, you scratch your knee, and over time you get better and you're popping fucking willies. Look at commentaries as the same exact thing. Over time, it's going to improve, and just, you know, keep reminding yourself that. That's why you don't start off with 1 million fucking subscribers. You start off with 10. You have lots of leeway to get better and better and better. Just post often, talk to yourself as much as possible. Try not to do it in public, and try to do it inside your head, but keep all that stuff going. You know, keep those juices flowing. So I hope this helps you guys. Catch you guys next time. I am Money out.